This is a test of the Boundary Park alert system. Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Boundary Park alert system with me, Matt Dean. Now, there's no Oldham fans who wouldn't have loved to have been in the away end at Bolton on Saturday. Zach Dearnley firing in an injury time winner in the big League 2 Lancashire derby. Absolutely amazing. It really brought home what we're missing out on during this pandemic. Those kind of magic moments are exactly why we go to away games. In the build up to the fixture, I got all nostalgic about going on boozy away days with my mates from back home because I knew it was going to be something a bit special. And I really would have loved to have gone, so I arranged a Zoom call with my brother Simon and my Blues brothers Adam Holt and Tom Lynch, and we went on a trip down memory lane to relive some of our favourite away day moments. Some of the less incriminating and controversial parts of that conversation are coming up later in the show. Having said that, there is still some very strong language in that part of the show, and unfortunately the sound quality of the recording isn't the best, so apologies for that. We'll also be hearing from Statman Tom as he previews this week's upcoming home games against Carlisle and Port Vale. But first off, I chat with Danny and Will from Push the Boundary about yesterday's much improved performance, and they also update us on their meeting with Trust Oldham, a little bit about Barry Owen's 23-minute statement and the results of their latest and biggest survey to date. Okay, lads. Will, Danny, welcome back. I've not spoken to you since the first day of the season.
Thank you.
We won. We beat Bolton.
I'm still in shock.
I really
beautiful.
I really wanted to beat Bolton today because it's Bolton. We play Bolton at the Reebok.
It's always good.
Yeah, exactly.
Always good to beat Bolton.
Exactly. If the first win was going to, we're going to lose, get 1 point out of the first 5, and you're going to choose one game to win. It's as your first game, it's going to be this one, isn't it? We couldn't have chosen it better, really.
Definitely. I mean, just thinking about the winner at the end as well, it's just a shame that there weren't 2,500 Oldham fans in the away end. It'd have been absolutely chaos, wouldn't it?
It really is sad, actually, that it kind of brings it home a bit, doesn't it? And when you're losing games, you're not really, it's like, well, whatever. But when you win a game like that and you win it in injury time, it's a bit of a kick in the tits, really, that there was no fans there. It would have been magic. And I guess, like, with what we've been talking about for the last 5 or 6 weeks, it's all been pretty much doom and gloom. So it is nice to have a moment of, and to be honest with you, it's not really gone to my head. I enjoyed the goal. I enjoyed the game. I thought it was a good performance. I thought Bolton were really, really shocking, like, especially at the back. They were really sloppy. And they didn't really create that many brilliant chances, I don't think, did they? They did knock it about quite well, but they look like they're going to be in trouble if they don't sort themselves out pretty quickly. And when the goal went in, obviously I was delighted. It's all temporary.
Deserved it though today, I think.
Oh, I think we did. I thought we played well. I actually put a poll out just before the game asking fans if they thought that the squad was good enough to keep us in League 2, and I think it was something like 72% of people said no. I think we can take a lot of positives from today and think that there is hope.
I mean, one major positive that we've got about going back to the keeping us in League 2 part is we can score goals. We look good going forward. McElhaney missed about 4 or 5, didn't he, today? But I suppose he's still there to obviously have them chances.
Player.
Yeah, great signing. You've got Bahambula that I don't think he knows quite himself what he's going to do, so how defenders work him out, I'd have no idea. And then obviously Rowan and Dearnley, you feel that there's enough goals in there to get you enough points. It's just whether you can keep them out at the other end, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, but he did really well for that goal at the end, and he got the ball well inside his own half, like took it all that way. Bolton defenders made it very easy for him, like they backed off him, and because there was a moment where you're thinking, what's he going to do? I think the lad said in commentary, it's 3-on-2 or whatever it was. I can't remember, 4-on-2 or 4-on-3 or something. And you're wondering, what's he going to do? Because you were expecting some pressure on the ball, which just never came. And he just kept going, slotted it into the corner. And it was really nice to see. It really was.
Yeah, it reminded me of his goal at, in his first game for us at Crawley on loan when we won 3-0 under, I think it was Pete Wild's last game. in charge, and it reminded me of his debut goal there.
Yeah, I think I remember that one. It was very similar, that kind of breakaway pace, kept the ball under control, slotted it away nicely. Rowe up top, Bahambula, they both have the ability to keep the ball. It's a nightmare to get the ball off Bahambula. Like, he's really tricky. When he gets it, he very rarely gives it away. And so when we've got that outlet there, and we can keep playing in the top third of the pitch, it's making a big difference. Also, when we're playing up there, we're not having to worry about keeping the ball at the other end. So
he seemed to fade a bit. So substitution was good. On the 85th minute, you're wondering how much impact is Burnley going to have. He's not coming on for very long, but he did enough, didn't he?
Yeah, it's exactly what you want from a substitution, isn't it? Like Brian Clough said, it only takes a second to score a goal. So really, really good. I think there was some real positives today. I thought that lad Jameson came on, did well. I thought Barnett did. Was it Barnett or Barrett? I can never remember.
Left back.
Barnett,
he did well.
Quite good.
Yeah, he looks like a good player. I think going forward, we're definitely a threat. And I think that was the best combination up front that I've seen with Rowe, Bahambula and Michelini. I thought that was the best.
I think what helped today, I have slagged him off in the past. I know Garrity had a good game. And I think a lot of that is to do with having a defensive midfielder behind him, so he doesn't have to do the defensive stuff and he can go forward. The amount of times he was in the box, looking to score, getting a move in there.
And scoring. He got the first goal,
Yeah, so I think that's probably his preference is having someone defensive with him. Whelan, I didn't think he did much today, but obviously didn't need to, and then he was brought off at the right time as well.
Yeah, I think the first 11 could be good. I do. Going back to my point about the squad being good enough to keep us in League Two, I do worry about the squad, the strength of it, the depth of it over a long, hard season. I definitely think that there's grounds for optimism that we might have a good first 11, maybe a good first 12, 14 to work from. But I think once we start getting the injuries and the suspensions and all the usual stuff, then we might struggle. So, today is a good day. We've got our first win. We beat Bolton. So there's a lot of positive performances. But in terms of the squad, I'm still a bit dubious about whether it's strong enough to last the season.
Especially fitness-wise as well. I think from the off today, we were closing Bolton down. We were doing a lot of closing down, doing a lot of running around, and you can do it for the first few matches if the fitness is there and we work on fitness and we can keep that up, then that's good. But the worry is if we can't keep that up and we start losing some of the fringe players, that's for down the line.
I mean, the games are going to come thick and fast now, though, aren't they? Because we've got Saturday, Tuesday for God knows how long now. And like you said, that's where your squad will come into play. And I know it's the same for everyone, though, in our division and how their squad rotation and maybe picking certain players for certain games may well work out. So it'll be interesting to see how the squad pulls together and plays its part in, obviously, the next, 8 weeks or so. That's going to be probably 15, 16 games or so. It's going to be quite tough on the legs, I should imagine.
Definitely. And like you're saying about the press, the high press, putting teams under pressure, not letting them come on to us and put us under too much pressure where we make the mistakes, and that's a hard game to play. It's very tiring on the front lads, but I think that's the way we need to go. I think we need to start playing higher up the pitch. I think we need to start pressing and putting defenders under pressure. Defenders at this level will make mistakes, and we know that we've got Rowe at the edge of the box. He's always looking to pop one off, isn't he? Any defender makes a mistake at the edge of the box and he'll have a go, and Michelini likes to have a go, and Bahambula. There's players up there that if we press and force players into errors, that we'll get goals. I think we are just going to have to outscore teams this season. I don't know what you think about what Harry had to say about Wheater. I know we talk about this every week because it's still unresolved, but there's been a lot of chatter on social media about what he had to say about the Wheater situation. What's your thoughts, lads?
I think he's making himself look a bit silly, really, when the club's already come out and said that he's not in the first team plans. So we've got something official from the club, and then Kuehl's coming out and saying, he's not fit and he's had COVID and all of this, and he had his injury, but we already know from the club that they're not letting him play. So why not just say that?
Danny, why not just say that? What do you think? Why do you think he is saying what he's saying?
I genuinely have no idea. Once the statement comes out, people then have got to choose whether they accept it or they don't accept it, whether it's right or whether it's wrong. But they've come out and told everyone that he's not available for selection, which again is baffling. But then beyond that, to then go back on it just really gets fans' backs up. I mean, fans are looking at it going, well, we conceded prior to today, conceded 13 goals in 5 league games, and there's a gaping gaps occurring within the back 4, the back 5, the back 3, whichever you play. And then he comes out, gets questioned on it, and says that he's injured, which is rather bemusing. And like Will said, I have no idea why he's come out and said that at all.
Yeah, it's these little things that are kind of like the soap opera that just keeps backstories that just keep trickling along, which really just need putting to bed. It would be a lot better for everybody if there was some transparency on it. I'd prefer Harry to just come out and say, this is nothing to do with me. There's something going on in the club. It's not up to me to say. It's between David Wheater and whoever. And just be honest about it and say, I'd like to have him in my team or whatever, but trying to spin it like he is it's not good for anyone.
I mean, when it's happened previously, I mean, I remember it happening with Jack Byrne under Frankie Bunn, and Bunn was asked about it, and he said, "Oh, it's a disciplinary issue that's above my head. I've not got a say on it. And if and when it becomes available to me, then great, and I can use him at that point. But until then, he's not available." And then shortly after he left, but at least there was the words from Bunn basically correlated with what everyone understood the situation to be. And again, it's not with Wheater and Woods. It isn't the first time it's happened, sadly, is it?
No, it's not. Anyway, we all know the situation anyway, don't we? So there's not really any ambiguity there. But now I've not treated myself yet to 23 minutes of Barry Owen. Right, I was going to do it earlier on, but I wasn't mentally ready for it. But somewhere in the club, somebody has thought. Now I don't know. Was there a question about Barry Owen in your survey this time round? Because I tried to find it, but when I try and click on the link on my phone, it doesn't open properly the survey. But I think there was a question about Barry Owen, and I'm pretty sure the results of that, which you can tell me about in a second, would be inclined to suggest that he's not very popular. So somebody in the club has decided, in their wisdom, to stick Barry out for a 23-minute statement about the club, which doesn't seem like the best decision. Have you listened to it, lads? And what do you think?
I've not actually listened to it yet. I've not had time.
I have listened to it. Most of it was about the question about this project big picture thing that got voted out maybe by the Premier League clubs. Unanimously decided that it wasn't the best idea. Barry Owen basically said in that the Football League clubs were all united, that felt it was a good idea, but there was some holes in there that they didn't want the big six to have a bigger say than everyone else and a bigger pull. And there was the preconception that they may use the short-term pain for the EFL with no fans being allowed in stadiums and bailing them out for their own long-term gain, which is again a valid opinion of presumably quite a lot of the EFL clubs. By way of update for the club, he didn't actually say too much. Said that times are tough, but they have been amongst the whole of the Football League, which is understandable.
I saw a clip. They gave us the amazing insight that we've got staff and we pay them wages.
He did say that no one had been made redundant, so that was a positive. And
they're very good at paying. That's another thing.
Yeah, very good. Not made redundant, but we've sacked people, or at least, we've sacked people. We sacked Dino, we sacked Natalie, at least, that we know about.
The one slight positive on this as well, however, is that we in our survey we did it came back that honesty and openness was one, and regular communication with fans. So at least with rolling out a board director, obviously Barry Owen probably wouldn't have been the first choice for many Oldham fans, but at least they provided an update.
Yeah, so the Barry Owen question on the survey, that was asking us to rank, asking fans to rank like the priorities at the club: honesty and openness, and interference in team selection. And Barry Owen actually wasn't as high as people might expect. I think he was about 5th or 6th priority. As about 91 people said it was a scale of 1 to 5, so 5 being important, 1 not being important. So 91 people said that Barry Owen was a 1, so not really important about replacing him. So it's good to see that Barry's got 90 friends.
Yeah, I mean, it's all relative, isn't it? You put that question in amongst other questions. Yeah, there are other priorities in terms of what people want to see happen, what people want to see change, but yeah, he's not the issue.
He's not the issue,
but he's also not a great sportsman for the club, is it? In terms of how he presents himself, how he talks. But like you said, Danny, they've decided that they're going to try and make some effort to communicate, and that is obviously a good thing. How much do you think that is in relation to the kind of pressure that Push the Boundary, and not just Push the Boundary, but fans in general, are putting on the club now? I presume you've sent the results of the survey to, did you send them to Carl? What's the story with the survey?
Yeah, we sent them to Cal, and we actually discussed them on a call with him this week as well. So showed him the results and discussed it, and he knows where we are with that.
It was certainly a very open meeting with Carl, and the results were pretty damning on certain questions. He asked for a copy, so we sent him a copy of the results, and now obviously it's up to the club to decide what to do with them. Again, the results weren't the best for the club, but to be fair, being 92nd out of 92 at the time probably didn't help. I don't think it'd have changed it too much. That being said, but yeah, it was an open conversation, and hopefully Carl will take that away and certainly look to implement some changes that we can benefit from that survey as well.
And that's the thing. It's like, yeah, Carl's come in, he's new, and he's got a job to do, and have to give him a bit of time. But the club also have to understand that this is nearly 3 years into Abdallah's time here, and just because Carl's come in as a new guy to try and make changes, you can't just say, okay, well, Carl's in now, so we're not going to do anything. We're going to wait and see. You have to keep going on, because you don't know how long Carl's going to last, what he's going to do, what he's going to implement. So we have to keep doing what we're doing. One of the things with the survey is it's quite interesting that a lot of the press has picked up on this as well. So, we've got the Oldham Times, got the Oldham Chronicle. Actually, even before the results came out, a reporter from the Telegraph got in touch with us, included us in a bigger piece on clubs in crisis in the Northwest. So there's a lot of people out there keeping an eye on things like that, and it's good that people are picking them up and people are listening. And there might be, who knows, some future investors out there that might pick up on this, might look at either investing in the team or looking at buying the club. It'd be good.
I mean, it has been quite a busy week for ourselves, really, to be fair. When we had that meeting with Carl, another day, Adam and Steve were on with on a webinar. I think the trust were on there as well, with the FSA, and that was to discussing stuff regarding where teams are at in England and across the EFL.
That was a clubs in crisis thing as well, wasn't it? Yeah,
and they mentioned obviously prior to COVID that Oldham was one of the clubs in crisis. So obviously it predates COVID, but with the issues that had been going on, and then we had a meeting with Trust Oldham on I think it was Thursday, which allowed us to just see where they were at with the new board and see whether what their next steps were, what our next steps are, and just to see where we can make progress.
How did that go? And What was the relations like between you both? Are you on the same page? Are you seeing things in the same way? Was it positive? Give us a bit more detail.
It was positive, yeah. We had a catch up with Jason Flynn and Paul Hughes, chairman and vice chairman. I think Paul is now. They've just come off the back of their first meeting at the weekend. Yeah, it was positive. We want to work together. There's obviously things that they need to sort out themselves, and there's probably some things that they can't really put their name to that if we do something. So, down the line, if things start to get heated and things that we do, I think they still see a big value in having a foot in the door at the club and having a relationship with the club. They are still working on the memorandum of understanding with the club, and they've not appointed anyone to take over the seat on the board. I think they're just kind of waiting to see the outcome of the memorandum of understanding getting signed off, and then they're going to take it from there. Definitely going to be working together, not working together, but there's no tension between us. We said in the call, we all want the best for the club, and we want to work together, and there's no point two of us trying to do two different things and clashing. So we just need to work together where we can.
Am I right in thinking that what you're saying there is the trust feel that they have to be more careful in what they say, what they do? They feel like they're under a little bit more. They have handcuffs on, if you like. Whereas Push the Boundary are able to ask the more difficult questions and able to they don't have the handcuffs on, and they can be more. You can be a lot more direct. You can pass that direct information onto the trust, and then they can use that in a way which they feel is appropriate with the club. Is that basically what you're saying?
If it's appropriate for what they want to do, and if they think it's right for what they want to do, then yeah.
So what did you ask them about the question? So what, just with you saying that word about what they want to do, this is all about the trust representing fans, and it's about what we want them to do, as opposed to what they want to do, the trust. Yeah. Did you have that conversation with them about them representing the fans as opposed to them being their own entity?
We did bring it up, yeah. I've spoken about it in the past about the whole community benefit society set up. So Jason's going to actually take that away and have a think about it. They've still not decided their approach going forward. So whether it's changing the whole setup of the trust or considering raising money or speaking to the club about getting a greater shareholding in the club, building a war chest, etc. They're still not 100% sure on that.
Are they planning on asking the fans about that? And have they asked you to help in that? I'm just thinking about a small group of people sitting around a table thinking about what's best for the trust going forward. Is it really up to them to decide that? I'm playing devil's advocate and asking difficult questions, because I know that people listening are thinking this, and I know no doubt you have thought it as well. And this is a platform for people to understand what's going on. So is that what's happening? Are they trying to figure out themselves what direction the trust needs to take and what?
Believe so. I can't speak for them. We discussed it briefly in the meeting. We talked about a few things, but they haven't decided on everything. Whether they're going to speak to the fans and see what the fans want to do, I don't know. It'd be good if they did, but yeah, that's on them to decide going forwards.
What was made clear during that meeting was obviously they'd just come off the back of, like Will said before, the EGM and the reforming of the board. I think, like Will said before as well, that they'd had their first meeting about 3 days prior to speaking with us. So I guess that we'll just have to wait to see what was discussed at that meeting come out in the form of board minutes, and hopefully they can see where they can move forward and like Will said, hopefully touch base with the fans and see what direction of travel that they are going to go in.
They need to do something to get fans on side, and we did say that they're going to have to do something either radical or make some massive steps to get a lot of the fans back on side and believing in them again. Because if they carry on like they have done previously, the trust in the trust isn't there at the moment. So they need to do something to get the fans, and they have the shareholding. How much value that has, I don't know, but it does get them the foot in the door with the club. They do have some rights to view accounts and things, but we don't want to lose that shareholding. So we want what's best for the club. We want the trust to do well, but they have to change to get people on side.
Did you get the impression that they realised how out of touch the trust is with the fans and how out of touch the fans are with the trust? And did you get the feeling that they really actually want to do something radical and fundamentally change the way that they, and I say they, it's a new board, but the trust, once you become the trust, once you are board members of the trust, you're the trust, and you kind of take on the legacy of the trust. People judge you by things that maybe you didn't do and that other people did. But do you think that they've got that? They understand the urgency of that?
They acknowledge the fact that what they were taking on. A few have been on it before the EGM, so they know how the trust works and where they need to become better. The proof will be in the pudding anyway, won't it? Really, but they did acknowledge where the trust are at the moment, and I suppose you couldn't say much fairer than that.
The board members that they have at the moment, they are people that have been involved with the trust previously anyway. So Jason Flynn has come back on the board. He resigned a while ago, and then he's been re-elected. He's been involved. Paul Hughes has been involved for a while. I think he was co-opted for a while, and now he's become a full director. You've got Tracy Wright, who's been involved for quite a few years. Mark Harrington. So they both resigned earlier in the year after things that had happened in January, February. They both been re-elected as well. So the people that are involved with the trust know what it's like because they've been in the trust for a while. What they're going to do about it, we'll have to see. And like you say, the urgency of it all, they do have to think about doing something and moving quite quickly, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not bashing anybody. I know that it takes a lot of time and commitment and energy and effort, and the people that have stepped forward to do that now are there because they have stepped forward in place of those who haven't stepped forward. So you have to respect them for that. Mm-hmm. And like I say, I've got a clean slate with everybody. I've got no agenda against anybody or anything. We're talking about it now because we haven't spoken to them, and you've spoken to them. Hopefully they'll come on. Somebody will come on. Somebody will feel that they're in a position to come on and explain onto the podcast. I mean, to explain where the trust's at and answer the questions that the fans have got very, very soon, because it is an open dialogue to the fans to come on here and communicate. And that's all we want. We don't want to speculate. I don't want to have to ask you for answers about the trust. It's not for you to answer. I can ask you about your perception of the meeting that you had, and you can give me the answers, and that's what you've done. But really, it's up to them to speak for themselves. Hopefully that will be arranged fairly soon, I hope. Yeah, but like that's where we're at with an organisation and a trust that is round the table with the club. They need to act in a way that they feel is appropriate to keep relations with the club good.
Yeah.
And vice versa. And what you're saying as push the boundary, your role is to push the trust to ask the difficult questions on behalf of 1,134 fans and counting, in terms of the surveys and things like that.
I mean, it was a really good turnout as well. So again, thanks to everyone that completed the survey, and we will be working certainly along with those results. And well, hopefully the club will implement the change of what they want, what the fans want to happen as well.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, somebody was messaging me there on Twitter earlier on saying, like, because we've got the win, don't think that everything's fine. And I'm like, well, obviously, no, it's not. Like, yeah, we've won one. We've got one win. Just because we've won one, you can't think that it's just going to start improving from now. It might do. Who knows? But listen, Will, we could go on a 4-match winning run now. Bang, bang, bang. And then you think, great. But then we could go on a 4, 5, 6-match losing run, because this is what happens at this level of football. You tend to find that you'll go on a bit of a run, get a few wins or whatever, and then you're going to lose it. So it's going to be like that, chopping and changing through the season. Like we said already, the squad is going to be put to the test, and it's going to be a long, hard season.
I think it is important to differentiate what happens on the field and what happens off it. They do go hand in hand to a degree. You generally see everyone pulling in the right direction where clubs are promoted. Everyone, and that goes from behind the scenes as well. But results hide or highlight what the big picture is off the pitch. Really, I mean, we've seen, for example, you could go back to like Bury, for example, that they got promoted in the season prior to being kicked out of the Football League, the same questions couldn't or wouldn't be asked when a team's first, second, third in that division. So their results probably didn't help them in the long term, but it is imperative to differentiate what's going on the pitch to off it. Certainly tonight, we should all be celebrating with a beer, a glass of wine, and enjoying our win over Bolton, because it's our first away league win at Bolton since 1982. I know we've won there in the FA Cup quarter-final, but regardless of whether fans are in stadiums or not, it's still a nice win.
On the back of that last-minute winner by Zach Durnley against Bolton, it's time to look to Tuesday night, and we will be facing Carlisle, a team that are in great form, just like Morecambe were when we played them. Carlisle have won their last 3 league games and currently sit 3rd in League 2. 12 points of a possible 18 shows that they're a formidable side, but actually one we've already beaten this season. They've scored 7 goals this season in the 6 games they've played in the league, and they have averaged 17.3 shots per game, 5 of which have been on target. 7.2 shots from outside the box and 9 shots from inside the penalty area per game show that they vary their shots and how they like to play. The top scorer this season is John Mellish, a centre-back or holding midfielder. He's scored 3 goals in the 6 games this season. And they also have former Latics player Luis Alessandra, who scored 1 goal and 1 assist this season. They're a team who seem to not enjoy having the ball and like to catch teams on counter-attacks, with only 47.9% possession on average and 59.4% pass completion. In terms of the strengths that Carlisle have, they love set pieces and counter-attack and are very good at aerial duels, predominantly a big side. However, they do not like keeping the ball. This could be something that benefits the Latics, as they have kept the ball more than the opposition in the last 4 games. With both teams looking to utilise wing players and fast attacking moves, it could be a very interesting and well-matched game. Carlisle like to play a 4-3-3 formation in games, which shows their counter-attacking play is one of their strong assets. It's a formation that is not too unfamiliar for Oldham, as they used this against Bolton on the weekend, bringing in some new players. It ended up paying off, with Carlisle seemingly over their bad start to the season and now sat in 3rd. It will be an interesting game, as the 2 teams who faced off in the Carabao Cup first round have gone in opposite directions. One of the standout players for Carlisle this season has been Gimme Tory. The forward, who's been played mostly on the right wing, has 2 assists this season, and with Luis Alessandra down the middle, he's been always looking to feed the ball into him. With Oldham having a fast pacey winger themselves in Bahambula, it could be an interesting game to see which of the 2 forwards come out best and which team ultimately comes out on top.
I thought it would be amusing, amongst all the despair and misery of the podcast, to talk about some away days and some of the fun we've had over the years, that it's not going to get any of us into trouble, and that we can remember, because our away days are exceptionally boozy, or they have been in the past. Very, very boozy affairs. Meeting at Piccadilly train station for a pint at 10 o'clock, get the cans in from Sainsbury's. You'd always see some other Oldham fans, plenty of us there. Get on the train, and away you go. Don't you just miss it? Don't you miss it? Talking about it.
I don't have any other excuses to drink in the morning.
No.
So I'm not that.
Great times.
You know, when I'm thinking back, one of the most memorable things that comes to mind, Adam, you weren't there, Tom, unfortunately, but it's when we went to Barnsley.
You know what? I have been thinking about this one. Is this the one where I get locked out?
Yeah.
I get thrown. I don't even get in the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, something about that is that no drinking zones are quite common these days, aren't they? But I don't think they were as common then, and we certainly weren't used to them. And I kind of walked into one without even knowing there, and we'd gone all the way to Barnsley by public transport. As I get there, this guy just decided that I wasn't going in because I had a can in my hand, rather than say, you can't drink that, put that down, fair enough, sunshine. That was it. It was a straight, no, you're not coming in, goodbye, walk away. So I'm thinking, hang on a minute. I decided that I would get round this by keeping my head down and going in the home end and just watching the game there. And I thought I'd go around the corner, change my dress, as in not my trousers, obviously, but swap my top. So I look slightly different. Head back in, totally different turnstile. As I'm going in, paying my money, same guy somehow has ended up on the other side of the ground. Goes, well then, that were a waste of money, weren't it? And threw me out with about 2 other blokes. Unbelievable. Yeah, I had to spend the rest of the day in a pub somewhere, yeah.
You were absolutely shit-faced. Like, we were all really pissed. You were bladdered. I remember that there was like a big hill that you walk over down to the ground, and we were walking down that hill, and we were all bladdered.
We've been walking around the centre of Barnsley with Yorkshire puddings on sticks and dressed flat caps and stuff.
We all had flat caps on with scarves on, and we had these. Adam had made these Yorkshire puddings on wires, and we were walking them around Barnsley like they were little dogs or something. Like, whoa, come in and going up to it. Oh, he likes you, things like that. Weren't we? And then we walked into this one pub, and it was fucking full of Barnsley. We walked in, and the bastard just went, "I don't think so, lads," and just pointed in the other direction.
2 policemen just stood at the door, weren't it, as you get in? And they were like, "Don't think so, lads. Not the place for you, this."
No. I think we saw the error of our ways eventually, didn't we? We thought, this is a bit unwise, this. We're going to get our heads kicked in if we don't.
But didn't Adam end up in the pub with the psychotic Barnsley fan that hit everything that wasn't Barnsley, made best of friends with him? And then we turned up at the pub and it was like, oh my God, it's a bit fucking edgy in here, isn't it?
Yeah. When we went back after the game, we went into the pub where Adam were. And Adam had made friends with these like absolute lunatics who were barred from the ground. Sitting there, and one of them was like a time bomb waiting to go off, wasn't he? He was absolutely mental, and like we are all too polite to leave, and we're sitting there like, having drinks. Like, I don't know how long we stayed for, but it was rough, wasn't it?
They're good though. They were all right in the end.
Well, they were all right, yeah. They were all right, but there was that one Begbie like train spotting type, wasn't there? He was just like he was just like everyone with that. He's going to glass one of us in any minute now, like. But yeah, we got away unscathed though, didn't we?
It doesn't matter where you go, don't matter whether it's an Oldham fan or an away fan or a home fan, there's always a Begbie. It might even be Adam.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Adam, you're one of the most incoherent people I've ever met. Like some of our away days, some of the states that you've been in, this was back in the day when you used to drink Stella before you realised what it did to you. What's your favourite away, lads?
Favourite away ground or favourite away trip that we've done?
Either or.
Forest away in the cup was a rather belting day, I think.
Yeah, that was a good day.
That was debauchery, a lot of fun.
You know which Forest trip I enjoyed? Do you remember when we got beat 3-0 by Forest? We got absolutely murdered. We all went. It was rubbish. But the Oldham fact we sang all the way through the game. Like, we were hopeless, and we all knew it was a dead cause, but we just didn't stop singing the entire game. It was brilliant.
I remember that. That is a rare and very odd moment of satisfaction, walking away 3-0 and having a good time, losing 3-0, having a good time. Yeah, I remember that though.
Yeah, everyone was determined, like, to just enjoy the day.
Won it 3-0 at half time. Is that why? Because we just got pumped in the first half, and then everyone just carried on getting drunk, and the second half was just everyone singing. I remember that.
It was a very, very big. It was like everyone was just hell bent on getting bladdered. It was a very drunken away, and it was really, really good.
I think my favourite away trip, and this is almost too obvious because it's in the most recent past, but I think the absolute despair that we've had in the last 10 years, if you sort of overlay that despair with how ridiculously euphoric Fulham was, I actually think it's Fulham, because out of absolute nowhere, with a caretaker manager with no experience, we went and won at a Premier League opposition on a beautiful day in West London. I think of all the great trips, of all the great results, that one just stands out, just because it was proper magic. Everything about it.
It was. And we got down to London the night before, and we had too much to drink the night before. We did have, was it Prosecco and Bailey's coffee for breakfast, I believe. That was absolutely god awful rough that morning. It was horrendous, but it got better as the day went on. Yeah, no, it was great. It was a great buzz that day. It was. Well, I mean, being at a big ground like that was full.
I think it kind of give you that, for me, innit? It give you that belief, didn't it, of what Oldham could be again in some respects. Like, however, what were it, 4, 5, 6,000 or whatever had gone down there. Yeah, it was just like the old days, just raucous and fun, and just loads of people happy, having a laugh and enjoying the football. Which, yeah, like you said, Tom, is very few and far between these days, isn't it?
I think. Do you know what though? I think for me, it didn't actually make me think, oh, this is what it could be again. It was more the fact that it was just at that time and now there isn't much hope. So you're in the doldrums. You've resigned yourself to misery, and then you go and get a result like that out of absolute nowhere. And it wasn't just the result. We played them off the park. Like that Missalou completely ran the show, didn't he? He was just unreal.
First half, he was just so good. I couldn't.
Unplayable, like end to end, like beating men, winning the ball back. And you just thought, what the fuck is going on here? Like, this is just bizarre watching it. But it was magical.
Yeah. The saved penalty just had everything, didn't it?
Because it was never a penalty. It was the softest penalty you've ever seen.
So to save the penalty and then go down the other end, 10 minutes after and scored a second. You
The thing was with it as well is it felt like things might turn around at that moment, didn't it? There was some optimism. It just felt like there was maybe a chance things might just click from that point, because that's what football does. It gives you these false senses of security, these moments of euphoria where you think maybe this is the catalyst that we need to move forward. And obviously it wasn't, but it was nice to feel that it was for a little while. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to get down by talking about how bad things are at the minute. I want to relive some more happy away day memories.
I think one of the good I remember was Sheffield United away.
Oh, Coochie.
3-0 down at half time, 2-0 down at half time, was it? We all went down for a whiskey bovril. That
was a proper comeback.
I didn't go to that one.
Oh.
That was like last minute, wasn't it? Was it a Coochie penalty?
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember. It was the Bovrils had done me in big time.
Yeah, the whiskey Bovril right in, on it.
Come back up from half time, and it was just a whole new game, wasn't it? It's a whole new world. Yeah.
We do fall into that category of people that very rarely remember the football after we come back from these days away. They are
usually the football spoils it, doesn't it? That's the problem. Like being an older,
it often does spoil it. Yeah.
The more numb you are to the football, usually, the better it is. But then, obviously, you get the odd game where you win, and it's like, oh, did we win? I don't remember that, but it was a good day out.
I'll tell you what was a good result and a good day out was Leeds away. But was it Happy New Year?
New Year's Day, wasn't it?
You left the ground, Matt, shouting "Happy New Year" in a bunch of, thousands of the Leeds fans.
Yorkshire, 3 points. That was quite brave. Matt, I've been very impressed with your podcasting. I think this is, it's an honour for us all to be on here, because I think you're doing great things with it. But I think it's worth just telling your listeners a little bit about Matt Dean, the away day character, the provocateur. So some people are well aware of who you are at an Oldham Athletic away day, but I don't think a lot of people will be listening to this podcast. That Leeds away game is a perfect example of it. You've got bravery beyond your size and scale at these away games. You are the focus of attention of all of the most horrible home fans that really want to do you some damage, because you're an expert at winding home fans up when we're on an away day. You've got legendary song creation. And I think it's probably worth touching on a few of those points on your little podcast here, because that Leeds one was just the tip of the iceberg. Wishing all of Yorkshire a happy New Year. Did we win 3-0 that 3-0, day?
It was
3-0 at Ellen Road on New Year's Day. Fucking hell, thank it. Not getting many of them.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, I'm a gobshite, is what you're saying. And when I've got too many beers in me, sometimes I do get a little bit brave. I wasn't that brave when all those Tranmere fans spotted me on the way out of the ground, and we had to make a beeline into the Mersey Tunnel in a taxi to get away from everybody. I lost my bravery then, I'll be honest.
There he is.
Yeah.
There he is. Get him. Shit. I'm only into verbal warfare. I don't want any physical violence. It's not my style.
No, but the forte that I think you're particularly good at is picking out a single home fan in the crowd to really focus your attention on. And one of my favourite moves is is when you started blowing kisses at people. I just really hammering one person in the crowd, and then when they start to get wound up and start, offering you out and all that, just blowing kisses at them. That's what I just love that.
I mean, but then that's all part and parcel of it, though, isn't it? Winding each other. I mean, that's how you get an atmosphere. You need to have a bit of banter between. Like, that's why I think at Latics now, it's a shame that like the away fans and the home fans are at opposite ends of the stadium. It's better when you're right next to each other in the stands and you wind each other up. Fleetwood, that January in I don't know what year it was. It was fucking freezing cold. It was me, Tom, and Adam.
Coldest I've ever been.
It was so cold, wasn't it? Stood behind the goal. I think we won anyway. Carl Winchester score a late goal. I think we won 2-0. But we got our chant in the Oldham Cron. Cod's not sustainable, pies are sustainable. Cod's not sustainable, pies are sustainable. It was in the Cron on the Monday. It was buzzing.
Coming back to your kind of presence at away games, that's kind of your calling card, isn't it? A random song that starts with just you singing it and ends up with 4 or 5 other people singing it. And I think on that day, ended up with 400 or 500 people singing it, and it was quite funny.
Yeah.
Normally people are just going, the fuck are they going on about these?
Exactly. I know, yeah. It's on another level sometimes, our chanting, you see. It's just like...
I think chanting is like exaggerating a bit as well. Like it's usually just 4 or 5 of us singing something really fucking abstract, and then everyone else looking at us going, what are they drinking?
Yeah. What, you mean like only here for the Bon Jovi at MK Dons?
There you go.
There we go.
That was the low point of my Oldham away day travels, I'll be honest. But the artifact of that was one of the best songs that Matt has ever come up with at an away game.
Yeah, well, you inspired that one. You mentioned that it was only built to host Bon Jovi, new stadium. So you're only here for Bon Jovi, which is now the name of our WhatsApp group. So
losing 6-2 at MK Dons had some small amount of value because it's been the name of a WhatsApp group for like 5 years.
Yeah, don't get much better than that, Tom, does it? Living the dream.
I mean, it is actually just one of the worst away days, isn't it? MK Dons. There's, like, Milton Keynes has absolutely nothing to offer. You get up to train in Milton Keynes, and it's like
roundabout,
just big open expanse of space. You have to where's the pub? You have to walk for ages, and there's like 1 pub or 2 pubs on that little strip, and then it's
rubbish town.
Oh,
it's a rubbish town with a rubbish bent football team that shouldn't exist, and yet we still go there
and lose
badly.
Yeah, grim. Not to mention that the train station is absolutely terrifying. Those trains come flying through at like 200 mile an hour on that little platform. It's horrendous. There's nothing good about Milton Keynes at all.
Move on then.
Yeah, yeah. Move on.
I mean, like Fleetwood, at least it's got Little and Large, hasn't it?
Not bad, wasn't it? But
Fleetwood. I can't believe we've not. Was it Sid Little or
Sid Little? Wasn't it when you went to Fleetwood?
Yeah, Sid Little's pub. I got a photograph with Sid Little, and I'm sure loads of Oldham fans did. But I've never been so impressed by someone's professional smile in all my life, because he was such a miserable get. He was like in no mood at all, and then like the photograph, it looks like he's having a great time. He just turned it on like boom, and then he was like off again.
This is a test.
What about Millwall? And a lot of people get put off going because of the reputation and because it's quite scary down there, and you're walking through quite a sketchy area. But you're in London, you're 1 stop on the tube from London Bridge, so you kind of get into London, you have a few beers in the best part of the city to have a few beers, and then you're at Millwall in 1 tube stop. But I think it's a great away day. I remember being there, I think it was a Tuesday night, and I think it was a Chris Taylor 94th minute winner to win 3-2 on a Tuesday in winter. That is among the most scared I've ever been in my entire life, because there's only one thing happening when you get a last minute winner at Millwall, and that is people are angry. It says it all at Millwall, where you've got a covered walkway from the away end to the tube stop, because there's that many bottles that get chucked. But,
yeah, we all end up on the same tube anyway, don't we? So it don't really matter.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
They're very rowdy on that tube, aren't they? Very rowdy, very raucous.
Raucous, yeah, not like us.
Well, that's one of the things I was going to mention. Actually, was like the train home. Like we're always very like on the way down. We tend to like if we're sharing a table with someone, we'll offer them a drink, and we tend to we've made some nice friends like middle-aged women and stuff like that. On the way down, and we've got chatting to, and it's pretty civilized on the way down. But on the way back, it's obviously not quite so civilized because there's plenty of Oldham fans on the train that have been drinking all day. I think on the whole, they're pretty well behaved, but there's always one. And I was reminded of that lad who I think a lot of people listening would know him, but I don't know what his name is, but he's all right. Like he's sound, but he was really, 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 really drunk. And he was being really, really, really annoying on the train. And we got to Stoke and he stood up and he's like beckoning his mates, like, it's time to get off. It's time to get off now. Like, get off now. Nobody said anything. He got off at Stoke and then the train went on. Everyone was like, hey! He thought he was in Manchester and he got off at Stoke. It was hilarious. But all his mates let him get off because he was being really annoying. It was really funny. Really funny. And the whole train kind of settled down afterwards because he wasn't on it anymore.
And why didn't we have that strategy with Adam a few more times?
Yeah, we could have got away with it, couldn't we? I think it's because we knew that if we did that, he would never have got home. He never would have found his way home.
Yeah.
It just would have been cruel. We'd have had to explain it to Terry and his mum and dad and everything, and it was just not worth it.
Oh, you're good friends, aren't you?
This is a test.
Bradford, that's got the best chippy.
That's the best fish and chip shop in the world, that.
Just what you need after a long day out.
It's still, you get off the train station, you walk across that little square, and then there's like a really old-fashioned fish and chip shop. I always judge a fish and chip shop not just by the fish and chips, but by the banter of the girls who work behind the counter, and they were class. The other top banter girls are on Anfield Road, the girls there in the chippy.
That's a top three chippy. That wow, it's literally on the corner, isn't it? Right next to Anfield. Yeah,
really good, and like I say, really good banter with the Scouse girls behind the counter.
There's one away day we've not actually talked about, and I can't believe it's been missed off the agenda.
What?
Let's see.
Huddersfield.
Oh, Huddersfield.
Oh,
always an absolute belter at Huddersfield. Doesn't matter whether we're in the same league or not.
Yeah,
that is awesome every time. 2 pubs at the station. Get off the train, drink about 4 pints in each. For some reason, I mean, it's what is it? The closest? It must be the closest other team. As the crow flies, you just got a massive moor in between you, haven't you? But what an away day that is! I absolutely love Huddersfield away.
Yeah, like when we filled that end behind the goal, there was that one season, but it was like 4,500 of us in behind the goal, and we were absolutely raucous. I think we beat them as well, and it was just fantastic. Yeah, I missed that.
Why did we all have our shoes off at one point? I never quite worked that out.
it was to do with Saddam, weren't it? Because it was like back in the Gulf War at the end of it, didn't they all? When Saddam statue came down, they all showed the soles of the feet. I think.
That is
as a mark of disrespect. So we're all showing
deeper than our
That's niche. Was that one of yours, Matt?
No, I don't know. Well, if it was, it wasn't for that reason. It's because they had hot feet or something.
You're not getting hot feet in Huddersfield.
After the Carlisle game, Oldham will host Port Vale, a side that sits 7th in the league with 10 points out of a possible 18 as it stands. With 3 wins this season, all 3 wins have come at home. Scoring 5 goals in 6 games, they average a possession of 49.6% with a pass completion of 62.7%. This is higher than Carlisle, so it's obvious that Port Vale are a team that like to have more of the ball than the Carlisle side that Oldham will face on Tuesday. Averaging 9.3 shots per game, only 3 per game are on target. And of the 9.3 shots, 6.2 come in the penalty area. They have, however, conceded 11.2 shots per game and also average 14 fouls per game. Their top goal scorer this season is Mark Cullen. He scored 2 goals, and they also have another former Oldham player in Christian Montano, who scored the winner against Salford this weekend. Another side that likes to utilise the 4-3-3, Cullen is their main outlet and they have been using Montana off the bench. A former Oldham player in the Port Vale side is Zach Mills. The right back has been in a defence that has conceded only 2 goals this season, so it's clear that Port Vale are a strong defensive side. With Oldham being a great attacking side, it could be interesting to see how they fare against this Port Vale defence. However, with Port Vale being up the table in 7th against a shaky Oldham defence that still hasn't found a perfect 4, it will be very interesting to see how they get on. A player to not feature this weekend was Arsenal defender Harry Clark, who's joined on loan until January 20th. He was not able to feature in the 2-1 win against Bolton, but could make his debut on Tuesday at Carlisle or alternatively against Port Vale on the Saturday. The Arsenal defender could easily slot straight into the starting lineup and offer a sure head next to Carl Piagiani, who's improved massively since the first game of the season. At the other end of the pitch, Matic's attacking options are something that has not been questioned this season. Conor McElhenney has been in incredible form. Danny Rowe played fantastically against Bolton along with Bahambula, and then to top it all off, Zach Durnley off the bench slotted home the winner against Bolton, giving Harry Kewell plenty of options to decide who should start against Carlisle and against Port Vale. With the win against Bolton, Oldham have now surpassed Bolton in the league and now sit 19th as opposed to the bottom of the league 24th they sat before the game. With a win against Carlisle, it could see Oldham jump as high as 15th with results and goal difference going their way, and then a win against Port Vale could even see them jump up to as high as 8th, overtaking Port Vale if they lose their next 2 games.
The Boundary Park Alert System is a Studio 6 production. It's hosted, edited and mixed by me, Matt Dean. You can contact me on Twitter at DublinOAFC and the show on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook at OAFC Podcast. Our email is bpalertsystem@gmail.com for all your voice messages, and please, if you like the show, do review and subscribe on whichever platform you listen. If you'd like to know more about Push the Boundary, you can visit their website pushtheboundary.co.uk and follow them on Twitter at PTB_OAFC. The title music for the show is by DJ and producer Starion, and you can visit redlaserrecords.bandcamp.com for more information. Thanks for listening.